Do you feel like you're snacking all the time? Likely, if you're watching this video, you've got questions around snacking. Maybe when you snack, you feel a ton of guilt. Maybe you feel like, goodness, am I ever gonna stop snacking? All I'm doing is snacking throughout the day or grazing. I don't know how to stop this. And you're feeling like there's something wrong with you. Let me tell you, there is nothing wrong with you, and we're gonna get into the reasons why you might be snacking, how diet culture really demonizes snacking, and some steps that you can take to understand why you're snacking and how you can mitigate snacking if that resonates and is appropriate for you. We definitely want to take a listen to this. But before we dive into things, I want to introduce myself. My name is Catherine Metzeler. I'm a registered dietitian, certified intuitive eating counselor, here to help you create peace with food and your body so that you can live a more abundant, free life where all of this is taking up less headspace. If you're new here, click like and click subscribe below. I come out with videos every week for you that help you to heal your relationship with food and your body. And if you're not new here, welcome back, and let's go ahead and dive into things together. So we exist in a dieting culture that demonizes all kinds of things, including but not limited to snacking. So this is a really important part, and the reason why I'm starting with this is because I want to offer you off the bat that there is nothing inherently wrong with snacking. In fact, we know that human bodies benefit from getting food and nourishment every 2 to 4 hours. So if we think about that, that equates, generally speaking, to 3 meals and 2 to 3 snacks a day. So there is nothing wrong with snacking. Snacking most certainly is a supportive part of having enough food throughout the day. And I offer this because diet culture has this way of demonizing any kind of need that you have for food. This applies to food generally, but in particular with snacks, it often will say things like 3 meals a day should be enough, or it idolizes other cultures that only have meals at certain times of the day, when in reality, your body needs snacks. So there is nothing wrong with snacking, and in fact, it can be a really supportive part of feeding and nourishing your body. And if you're experiencing snacking a lot, if you feel like you're constantly grazing and constantly snacking,
I'd be like, Mom, we're taking the snacks upstairs.
This likely is an indication of something else that is going on that I want to talk about now. In my experience as a clinician specializing in disordered eating, I have seen over and over again that individuals that don't eat enough at meals are often the ones that are snacking and grazing all the time. A very common experience. If you, in this case, are experiencing feeling like you can't stop snacking and you're snacking all the time, is that you might not be eating enough at mealtime. This is really important to take a look at, to get curious about, because you might have been restricting for some time, you might still be engaging in certain restrictive eating patterns, you might not be eating enough throughout the day. So over time, it starts to feel more comfortable snacking and having smaller meals than it does to have full meals in which you experience a sense of fullness. The first thing that I want you to consider if you are wanting a snack is, one, always, first and foremost, give yourself permission to have a snack. There is nothing wrong with having snacks. But immediately following that, the second thing that I want you to ask yourself is, when's the last time I ate? Has it been a few hours, relatively speaking? And if it has, it likely means that you need fuel again. The second thing that I want you to consider is ask yourself what you've had at your last meal. If you had a lot of voluminous foods, which again are really common to eat in diet culture and that is part of disordered eating, like fruits and vegetables and other things, it likely means that you didn't get enough energy from the food that you ate from your last meal despite feeling full, and so now you're hungry again. This could be an opportunity for you to add in more of those macronutrient groups at mealtime, protein, fat, and carbs, to make sure that you're getting enough, because if you're just filling your stomach with volume, but you're not actually getting your nutrient needs met, you're gonna be hungry again, and this is what can lead to constantly snacking and grazing. And the third thing is to consider the difference between hunger and appetite and whether or not you've gotten your needs met. More specifically, I talk about differentiating these two things, where hunger is fulfilling and meeting that physical need that you have to meet your hunger needs, and appetite is something else and separate from that. It's based on what you're craving, what you want to taste, temperature, texture, all the things that you are wanting that don't necessarily have anything to do with you meeting your actual hunger needs. And what happens for a lot of people when they only meet their hunger needs but don't meet their appetite needs is that they might fill up, they might even have enough energy from the meal that they've eaten, but they'll still find themselves looking for something, still find themselves opening that refrigerator, getting stuck in front of it, thinking that you want something, but feeling like, oh, there's nothing for me to choose from. If we haven't honored the things that we want in a meal, it's really common that we'll find ourselves snacking later. So this is another opportunity for you to add things into your meal that you actually enjoy. Start with asking yourself, do I have tastes that I like here? Do I have temperatures that I like? Is there something missing that I'd like to include in this meal or make sure that I have after my meal? So in summary, there is nothing wrong with snacking, and snacking can be an indication that you are not getting enough throughout the day. Questions that you can ask yourself are, how often do I find myself snacking? If I'm snacking more than 3 times a day, could this be an indication that I'm not getting enough at meals? And can I start to try to look at meals to see if I'm eating voluminous foods or if I'm not getting enough energy from macronutrient groups at that meal? Second thing is, ask yourself if you feel safer having snacks than you do having full meals. It's really common to have a fear of being full, of not wanting to be full, that can be very wrapped up in the disordered eating. So getting curious, does this feel safer or better to be having smaller snacks than it does to have full meals? And the third really important question that I want you to ask yourself is, what would it be like if you gave yourself permission to snack? And I don't just mean snacks that you've been told that you should eat. What would it be like to actually make foods that you enjoy, that you want to snack on? It doesn't even have to be stereotypical snack foods. It can be leftovers that you've had. It can be meals and portions of a meal that you have. You can get really creative with snacking ideas. And so I want you to hold both that you are allowed to have snacks, and snacks are helpful in healing your relationship with food and helping to support your body and meeting its needs. The other piece of this, though, is that having snacks all the time can be an indication that there's something else going on, that you're afraid of eating full meals and feeling a sense of fullness, and or that you're eating voluminous foods and you're not actually getting your energy needs met, and so you're snacking all the time because your body is asking you for more. So remember, snacking does not take the place of actual meals. It's meant to support mealtime. And you've got a lot here that you can experiment with to figure out what could be going on for you. And maybe as you experiment with this and ask yourself questions, you realize that you're actually doing nothing wrong, and that it is diet culture that has demonized the snacking experience for you, and that you can take that many steps closer to feeling a greater sense of permission and joy and pleasure in having snacks on the daily. If you like this video, click like, click subscribe, and let me know what you thought. Are you struggling with snacking? Are you finding that any of this resonated with you? And I will see you here next week.